So guys, Islam Makhachev has officially announced that he wants Ilia Topuria at the UFC White House. And you know what? Before we get into it, I give you my thoughts and my comments, let's actually take a look at what Islam Makhachev had to say. Let me pull the clip up here. Turn the sound on.
No, in my division, a lot of contenders who deserve the title fight. Just UFC have to give me new target. That's it. I just waiting.
There has been a lot of talk about a potential fight between you and Ilia Topuria. How do you look at that situation?
Yeah, I like this idea. If UFC want, I know a lot of MMA fans want this fight. I'm ready.
What about fight in White House in Washington? Do you thinking about that?
Yeah, also it's the one of the arena where I'm gonna fight next, and we have the Ramadan month when I'm not gonna training 1 month, and after that I will slowly beginning my training camp, and I will be ready White House or as a other dates. I will be ready. No, in my division, a lot of.
All right, so that's what he had to say regarding Ilia Topuria. And you know what? I'm happy that he's actually finally said that he'll take the fight. But guys, you see the problem I have with this fight. Okay, number one, should the UFC make this fight? Yes. Is this the biggest fight to make right now in the whole of the UFC? Yes, 100%. That fight will do numbers. Because listen, the question that everyone wants to know is this: Can Islam Topuria, because can Ilia Topuria knock out Islam Makhachev, and can Islam Makhachev submit Ilia Topuria? That is what everyone wants to know. That's the question everyone has been asking for the last year or so. And to be completely honest, guys, yeah, if we're talking, this is where I'm a bit worried about this fight. If Islam is fight, and like I said and I say all the time, I'm actually a fan of Islam Makhachev. I'm not really a fan of the Nurmagomedovs or the Nurmagomedov camp or even that region of fighters. I'm not the biggest fan of them. But from that region, the two fighters that I like the best, Islam Makhachev and Arman Sarukian. I know all of the Caucasus region. They're all like Arman, Ilya, Marab. They're all near each other. But I'm talking specifically like Russia, because Arman Sarukian did recently come out and say he's Russian. Obviously he's Armenian background his roots are. It's like me. My roots are Nigerian, but I'm from England. I'm English, but my roots are Nigerian, and I'll always forever embrace that. But from that specific, let's say Russia, I don't like Chechnya. I'm not the biggest fan of their fighting style. I'll be honest. That's why I actually like Islam and Arman Sarukian. And Islam is actually Islam and Arman are definitely my favorite fighters from that region, because they have charisma, they're funny, they have good fighting styles. And Islam Makhachev, as much as sometimes he does have a lot of banter, he can be honest. And I respect him as a fighter and as a person. If I met him out, honestly, if I met Islam Makhachev and Khabib and they were next to each other, I would show more love to Islam Makhachev, because I actually genuinely have a level of respect for Islam Makhachev. Not saying that I don't respect Khabib. It's just I don't agree with some of the things he says, some of the things he's done, and I just feel like people lick his ass. But when the roles are reversed with other people, they're like, oh no, he can't do that. He can't say that. But anyways, back to this fight. My problem with this fight is that if it's at 170 pounds, I'm sorry, I don't care what anyone says. I know Ilia Topuria recently came out and said, oh, I'm not Jack Della Maddalena. When you get into the cage with me, you will realize that I'm not Jack Della Maddalena. bro. I'm sorry. At 170, bro. What? You see the way Islam bulked up, and he made easy work of JDM. I'm sorry. At 170 pounds, Ilia Topuria stands no chance. Absolutely no chance. At 155 pounds now, that is a different story. I do believe at 155 pounds, Ilia Topuria has a chance for numerous reasons. Islam Makhachev will be weight drained. He's not going to rehydrate to what he would rehydrate to at 170 pounds. So he will be a little, what's the word? He won't be fully hydrated. He won't be 100% on the night. And I know fighters are never really 100% when they go into a fight, but 155 pounds works perfectly for Ilia Topuria. Like, Islam Makhachev will have to deplete himself to an extent to get down to 155 pounds. And after going up a weight class and then moving back down in such short space of time could be detrimental to Islam Makhachev. So at 155 pounds, I would give Ilia Topuria the slight advantage. But at 170 pounds, it's not even close. So what weight class this fight is going to take place in, I genuinely don't know. But it's a bit of a piss take. Don't get me wrong, right now is probably the best time to make that fight for the simple reason they're both champions. To be fair, Ilia Topuria is going to fucking sleep Justin Gaethje in June. There's no doubt about that. The two skill levels are just different, and the way Ilia Topuria is going to set up Justin Gaethje, it's just different levels. But obviously they could make the fight after that. But you have a White House card where everybody, a lot of people, even people that don't usually watch the UFC, are going to tune in just to watch that White House card. Because to a lot of people, they're thinking, wow, White House card, oh, people are fighting at the White House, something that's never been done before. It's going to be a very historical event. I feel like they'll get more viewership and streaming than actual tickets sold. Obviously, I don't think there's going to be, I think they're only going to have about 3,000 to 4,000 capacity anyway. So I do think in terms of streaming and viewership that they will do very well. Because it's the White House card. A lot of people are going to watch the UFC for the first and last time on that day. Some people are going to become fans just because of that day. So it makes sense to have Islam versus Ilia on the White House card. It does. It actually does. They're both champions right now. So it actually makes a lot of sense. The only downside to that is it holds the two divisions up for much longer. I mean, you could do in the meantime in the lightweight division, you could do Arman versus Justin Gaethje again for the interim belt, like what they did with Tom Aspinall and Curtis Blades. Because Tom Aspinall won the interim against Pavlovich, I believe it was. Then he fought Curtis Blades, beat him, but both of those were interims. And then obviously John Jones had the injuries and whatever, so Tom became the actual heavyweight champion. So they could do Arman versus Justin Gaethje for the interim at lightweight, and then Arman fights, because Arman would beat Justin Gaethje. But let's just say let's be neutral and say for the viewers' sake, whoever wins that fight can fight Ilia later that year. But Ilia won't be champion. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. They could potentially face Ilia or Islam for the lightweight belt. But I feel like if Islam comes down to 155 pounds, he's going to fight for the title and go back up. I don't think he's going to stick around at 155 pounds. But then you've got the welterweight division, which is very active compared to the lightweight division. So is it really fair to have your welterweight champion fight for the lightweight belt while there's contenders in his division? Although they could do an interim, which could spice things up in the welterweight division, because they do have a lot of contenders in that division. Quite a few men do have warranted a title shot with their last few performances. So yeah, listen, there's things they could do, but if making Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev is going to hold up the two divisions, then I don't think they should make the fight, because they should. I know for money's sake and for viewership, it will make sense to make that fight, but it's not fair. It's actually not fair to the other fighters in that division. And look at Ilia, he moved up straight away. Ilia and Islam both moved up straight away, got a title shot, boom. So it's not really fair, man. You can't hold the division up for any longer. It's a joke if they do that. But is that a fight that I think they should make next? Yes. And if they are going to make it next, they need to have interim title fights on the line for the contenders in both divisions, because they can't just be sitting waiting, or they fight each other for the sake of fighting, if it's not going to mean they get the title shot next, if that makes sense. So yeah, man, it's an interesting one. I do think they should make the fight, but they need to also make sure the contenders in both the lightweight and welterweight division get what they deserve, because they can't sit. Really and truly, you can't have them sitting out waiting around for the champions in the division. So, you know, that's just my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like and subscribe.